What's up, ladies and gentlemen? This is the Jose Show. Happy Thursday, May 1st. I cannot believe it, ladies and gentlemen. But anyways, let's get into the hot topics. Now, let's start off today's show talking about Kesha. So apparently Kesha has a little fun with someone, but apparently she's not dating that someone. Well, apparently Kesha's not calling it a relationship just yet, telling us the guy she's been cozying it up to for about a year or two is more of a for fun situation, and she means the X-rated kind. Alright, so TMZ caught up with Kesha at LAX strolling alongside health tech entrepreneur Michael Gilvari, and while she looked a little red-faced at first, she didn't hold back for long, telling us flat out they're not dating, she's just using him for some good old-fashioned sex. Alright, so apparently this is really funny. I think that Kesha is just having a really good time and she does not want to take anybody seriously right now, and that's perfectly fine, because if you're gonna have a really good time, then you're basically very happy, you're basically enjoying life, and that's perfectly fine. Now, as long as Kesha isn't over here spreading STDs here and there, okay? And you know, Kesha's pretty young. I believe she's like, what, in her late 30s right now, mid 30s, so I mean, she technically has all of the time of the world to be having a really good freaky freak anyways. Now, what I think is really interesting though is that Kesha is really focused on that right now instead of focusing on music, because we have been waiting for some Kesha music for a while now, and we really want to listen to some Kesha music. Okay, I'm just saying, and I'm not trying to say that Kesha should not be focused on having a really good time and just focused on music. I'm just saying that she should also focus on music. Now, I think it's really interesting though that Kesha was just talking about that and she wasn't talking about the controversy that she's facing right now because of the fact that she took a photo of herself drinking a Wendy's drink shortly after Wendy's got to bash Katy Perry a few weeks ago, because Katy Perry went all the way up to space when Wendy's basically said, oh, can we send her back up to space? And then Kesha went off and then posted a photo of her drinking a Wendy's drink, and then she posted it on X. I believe that the reason to why though Kesha was not addressing any of those things was because I believe that Kesha knew deep down that what she did was kind of dirty and shady, and she didn't want it to really go off and sound cocky and sound rude about what she did because of that. So I completely understand. But if I were Kesha though, if she really has that conscience going on with her on what she did, I would delete that post immediately, because like I said, it was very shady, it was very awful what she just did. And I do think that, yes, I mean, I do kind of understand as to why Kesha did what she did, because of the fact that she basically was against the fact that Katy Perry was working with Dr. Luke, which, by the way, happened to be somebody that Kesha got to accuse of sexual assault several years ago, and it was an ongoing legal battle with him, I remember. But, I mean, Katy Perry had no choice but to still work with Dr. Luke, because apparently Katy Perry still is under a contract with Dr. Luke to be working for 3 albums, okay? And Katy only worked for 2 albums before getting into the 3rd one, which was her last one that she just did. And, you know, that was it. And I believe that Kesha should have understood that instead of getting against Katy about that. And I think it's also really sad having to see that 2 female artists in the music business are actually putting each other down, especially Kesha towards Katy Perry, instead of uplifting Katy Perry and supporting Katy Perry. Now, I'm not trying to say that she should have supported Katy Perry working with Dr. Luke, but what I think she should have done was, you know, go off and be like, okay, well, despite my disagreement on Katy Perry working with Dr. Luke, even though I know that she had an obligation to still work with Dr. Luke, yeah, I still support Katy Perry, because Katy Perry is a queen and Katy Perry is an amazing singer. She's an amazing person. And, you know, the fact that she went all the way up to space was actually very cool and very amazing. And that's something that not anyone does, you know. So that's what I think Kesha should have done. So anyways, yeah, Kesha, you just calm down, girl, and just, you know, no more hate towards Katy, no more hate towards anybody else, and that's all I have to say about this. Okay, now on to the next topic. Now let's talk about Terrence Howard. So Terrence Howard didn't want to get it on as Marvin Gaye on the big screen, passing on a starring role in a biopic because Marvin was gay. Now the actor revealed his very specific reason for rejecting a Marvin Gaye project when he was a guest on Bill Moore's Club Random podcast. Okay, so this is what I have to say about this, and this is all according to TMZ, by the way. I think that it is perfectly fine that Terrence Howard got to reject this role because of the fact that Marvin Gaye was a homosexual. Because Terrence Howard is not a homosexual, and since he's not a homosexual, I don't think that he would have been able to act as a homosexual all that well in the biopic. And I believe that his concern was to actually get this biopic done well because of those things, and it's completely understandable. Okay, I mean, yes, there have been many actors out there that are straight and they've been playing gay people on movies and biopics, don't get me wrong, but I mean, in some cases like Terrence Howard, I don't think they would be able to pull it off well. Okay, and I don't really think that it's really fair if people are thinking that because of the fact that Terrence Howard decided to let down a role that he was offered for is actually a very homophobic thing, because in reality, not all the time is that the case, like with this situation, for example. Okay, so I think that in this situation, Terrence Howard, he has his own rights. He has his own things going on, and that's perfectly valid. Okay. Marvin Gaye, I haven't really heard much about him. I really haven't done much research about him, but all I can say is that he, I believe, was a huge icon. He was around, and I believe like the 80s, the 70s, I believe, being an actor, if I'm not mistaken, or a singer, if I'm not mistaken, and he was highly well known. He was highly loved, of course, and I believe that he went through some criticisms here and there, maybe because of the fact that he was a homosexual. And, you know, unfortunately, especially back in the 70s, 80s, there was so much homophobia going on, and there was so much hatred going on, which is what really caused the poor guy to go through such an emotional stress. But yet he kept on going on with his own music career because that's what really mattered to him, instead of focusing on the opinions on what he was as a person. So with all of that being said, I think that this right here is really a very tough job, especially having to even be dealing with all of that in a biopic, you know, which could be another reason to why Marvin Gaye decided to let down that role instead of getting into that role. You know, I mean, I just can't imagine just Terrence Howard just being up there in a stage portraying a homosexual guy, and then people are all trashing him like crazy, and then he's like, oh my god, what do I do now? You know, so. And then what I can also imagine, though, is, you know, the people behind the screens, I mean, or in front of the screens watching, like, oh my god, is this really Marvin Gaye played by Terrence Howard? Like, why is he doing this in a weird way, or why is he behaving like this? Like, we're just going to have to laugh at him because this is just not him at all. You know, this is definitely not what he's supposed to be. So it could also turn into a laughing stock, you know, so that would be pretty humiliating and really intimidating. So with all of that being said, I understand where Terrence Howard is coming from, and I have no criticisms against him for letting down a role that was offered to him of Marvin Gaye. All right, now on to the next topic. Now let's talk about something very interesting. So Victoria Silvstedt is still doing the supermodel thing after half a century on Earth, and she's still got it. Okay, so the Swedish model and actress showed off her curves while modeling bikinis on the beach in Miami, and she's proving age is just a number. So Victoria is showing why she was a Playboy bunny in her heyday. She's tall, slender, tan, blonde, and racked, basically everything Hugh Hefner loved. All right, so anyways, this is really interesting, and this is all according to TMZ. I think that let the woman be, okay? Let the woman shine, even though she's already 50 years old. Because, I mean, come on now. She looks really beautiful in that bikini. She is basically being herself. She is just, you know, being happy. And I don't think there's anything wrong with all of that. Victoria Sylvester, I think, in my opinion, should return to Playboy because of how good she still looks at the age of 50. I believe that any woman would love to look as good as her at the age of 50. Come on now. I think that she is even an envy because of that. And if I were her, I would even freaking ignore all of the criticisms that would go towards her because, like I said, she's really good looking and she's just being herself. I never even knew that she is Swedish, by the way. I thought this whole entire time that she was American because of the way she looks. But anyways, the fact that she got to be posing out in the beach in Miami is just so darn interesting and so darn cool because Miami Beach is really nice after all. And the ocean over there is really warm and really nice. And, you know, the sun really got to go onto her body, that's for sure, because I mean, it is the Sunshine State after all. Who wouldn't want to be shunning in that Sunshine State? Okay, so there's also that. And she really fits well with the color pink, by the way. That color pink makes her look like a goddess. Okay, just saying. She looks like, I don't know, a really good, what's it called, a mermaid goddess, if I'm not mistaken, because she just looks very good with that physique of being in the ocean or being by the ocean with that pink bikini, and then she poses it well like a mermaid kind of by the ocean, and then she lets that blonde hair of hers all the way down to her sand, and she's like, okay, here I go, you know, and that's actually really cool, you know. So anyways, I really am happy for her, and, you know, just let her be. Let her be at the end of the day. I mean, we've seen it with so many other models out there, posing it out in the beach and being themselves and not caring what other people have to say about them. And, you know, even in their 60s too, there's some people out there posing it out like they were like 40 or 30 years old, and they really don't mind at all. And then, you know, the next thing you know it, they end up in all these articles and then they're praised like crazy. So I think that these photos, though, of this girl, Victoria Sylvester, is already motivating so many women out there to actually get in shape, not just in their 50s, but also in the younger ages like 40s and 30s, because they're already acknowledging that you can still look good even though you're in your 50s, okay, and that you can still shine bright even though you're in your 50s, and that age is nothing but a number. It's not something that should really define you and make you be like, okay, well, I'm already in this age, so I might as well just get fat now. No, you know, like, come on now. But anyways, I do personally think, though, that I'm not trying to say, hey, you should get skinny. Hey, you should just, you know, look like a freaking, I don't know this. What I'm trying to say is that look good, okay? Just look nice. Don't go off and pressure yourself either. Don't go off and be like, okay, I have to. No, just take it little by little and just be yourself. And, you know, if you're a certain weight, then you're a certain weight. Every woman is beautiful in their own shape and size, okay? But anyways, on to the next topic. Now let's talk about something very intense. So apparently some things are coming to light in the whole entire Virginia Giuffre case. Well, apparently Virginia Giuffre's father isn't buying the official narrative about his daughter's death, claiming there's no way she killed herself, and instead he says someone got to her. So Sky Roberts spoke with Piers Morgan Thursday, and he says it's been an emotional time for the family with lots of tears and disbelief at Virginia's death. And apparently, he then added, and then for them to say that she committed suicide, there's no way that she did. Somebody got to her. Virginia was found unresponsive in her home in Australia last month. First responders performed emergency first aid, but she was ultimately pronounced dead at the scene. Okay, so apparently the family announced Virginia took her own life in a statement shortly after Giuffre's death was made public, remembering her as a fierce warrior in the fight against sexual abuse and sex trafficking. Okay. Apparently this is really suspicious, what I'm hearing. If Virginia Giuffre did not commit suicide and there was actually someone approaching to her, who could have it been? Could have it been a friend of Jeffrey Epstein? Could have it been somebody that was really good allies with Jeffrey Epstein that went off and murdered Virginia Giuffre, because Virginia Giuffre went off and accused Jeffrey Epstein of sexual assault in the past? It may be, because, I mean, normally these people, these horrendous people that sexually assault people and that commit any other crimes, they got their people out and about looking out for the accuser to see what they can do to the accuser in order for the accuser to, you know, either be dead or to get hurt. Because these people, they side with the person that is being accused. They are very angry at the accuser. Okay, so in this case, I really have no choice but to say that somebody that was allies with Jeffrey Epstein might have been behind the death of Virginia Giuffre, and all of this is going to come to light sooner or later. We have to be honest. And I mean, maybe this person, and this is if there's someone that is behind this death, I believe that this person is going off hiding behind somewhere. And we're not going to find this person in God knows how long. But this person is going to get found. And when this person gets found, this person is going to get held accountable for what they did to Virginia Giuffre. And then the next thing you know it, there's going to be more and more chaos, because then there's going to be another person and then another person, you know, going after law enforcement, probably because the person that might have killed Virginia Giuffre is going to be behind bars. I mean, I'm just thinking on what could happen here. I'm not trying to confirm nothing here, okay? And it's very scary, though, that all of this got to happen all of a sudden, where Virginia Giuffre's life was taken away. Very, very scary. And I feel so bad for the Giuffre family. You have no idea. Nobody deserves to go through a situation like this where they are being murdered because they are accusing somebody of hurting them. Okay? But anyways, that is it for today's show, ladies and gentlemen. I really hope you guys enjoyed today's show. And make sure you guys subscribe to my YouTube channel and also follow me on my Instagram. It would be highly appreciated. Till next time, and peace.